they now have numbers advantage on the board at the very least. Greetings, everyone. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you are here. Today's jank is in the format of Alchemy. Believe it or not, we haven't done a lot with that, but, you know, it's always nice to branch out from time to time. We are going to be trying to get some exiling and returning value in the format. The key card going to be Teleportation Circle. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to one target artifact or creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. So basically, everything in our deck does have some kind of end of the battlefield trigger. End of the battlefield, the next thing gets a 1/1 counter, trample, vigilance counters as well. Clone Crafter lets us grab a creature from our opponent's deck. Professor of Symbology allows us to learn, as does Gnarled Professor. Hinterland Chef lets us draft from the spellbook, and those things will be able to gain us life. A Skyclave Apparition you're likely familiar with does some exiling stuff. Yasharn and Quandrix Cultivator both find us lands. This basic forest or basic plains. Quandrix Cultivator finds us only basic forests or islands. But Hollowhenge Wrangler, when it enters, it seeks a land card, which does not mean basic land. It can find any land in our deck. So you might ask, why the heck are we ramping at 4 and 5 when we have nothing above the Hollowhenge Wrangler? Well, it's primarily because our Teleportation Circle value is mainly just that. It's for value. We're getting a lot of stuff of value on our lower end. And then the Hollowhenge Wrangler is going to be able to turn all of these lands into 5/5s by converting them into Hollowhenge beasts. So that is kind of what we're up to here, folks. You know, doing a lot of learning generic stuff, some reducing to memory and mascot exhibitioning, that sort of thing. That said, let's see how it plays, shall we? All right, folks, here we are up against Tiki. Good luck, Tiki. And, you know, I think we're going to hang on to this. I believe we're going to start on... yeah, I guess the World Tree, probably into Glasspool Mimic. Just so we can try and hit Yasharn in a timely manner, you know? Interesting. Suddenly it's tempting to do other things, but I think we're going to stick to the plan for now. Tenacious Pup. Come on down. Opponent has Angel of Unity, doing some party-style shenanigans. Well, darn it, we did get a land after all. Makes me wish we'd hung on to our Glasspool Shore, but, you know, sometimes you make the wrong decision. I did. Let's start off with Clone Crafter, see what it is that we get from our opponent. Lunarch Veteran is the card. Fine. We will cast it. Not attack. And see what TKI has to say about this stuff. Elite Spellbinder is the card that comes out of hand. I wonder if our opponent's just on actual clerics, or if they're on, if this is actually party, right? Because cleric is a party, right? Spell. So, opponent does take our Sigardian Evangel. And, yeah. It would have been nice to be able to play the Skyclave Apparition there. But, alas, our decisions up to this point have not led that to be a possibility. Alright, no attacks. TKI, what will you do? Considering things and thinking about them as well. Righteous Valkyrie is the card that comes down. Well, we're pretty glad we saved this in retrospect. Opponent gets in for 3. We take the damages, obviously. So land Skyclave Apparition, going to eat this particular card, gain a life in the process, and go to combat, getting in with these folks. Opponent? Oh, I was going to say, likely to take the free block on Clone Crafter. Does not wish to risk their Angel of Unity. Priest of Ancient Lore comes down. It is a 3-2. They're going to gain a life draw card. Go up to 14. And a Lunarch Veteran of their own comes down. This does appear to be clerics only. All right. Hey. That's a good one, folks. That is a good one. Glasspool Mimic. Come on down. Eat the Angel of Unity. Gain a life. And we are going to make our land drop. Do we get in? The Lunarch Veteran being a 3-3 is actually really annoying here. I guess we're going to hang on for now. I am not sure if that's the correct thing to do. Impassioned Orator becomes... or comes onto the battlefield. Tripping over my own tongue here today. But it is a 3-3. These cards all relatively large, folks. And inconveniently sized at the very least. Quandrix Cultivator going to come down, gain us a life, go and grab a Landerino. Take the action. Grab Forest. And yeah, I guess we're going to play the other Forest to get down another Quandrix Cultivator. This does mean that next turn, if we top deck a land, Sigardian Evangel has that many more activations. If we top deck action, then darn it, we top decked action, so we can't really complain about that, right? Fateful Absence on our Yasharn. Inconvenient, but not the end of the world by any means. Does allow us the ability to get some clue action. Inquisitor Captain comes down. What does it find? Voice of the Blessed. Well, that's inconvenient. That card needs to go away in a hurry. Opponent holds back more yet. Alright, so do we do this now? Maybe it's better to look for an answer this turn. Okay, we found one. Glad we did. Teleportation Circle. No attacks. We're going to exile Skyclave Apparition. And return it. Exile the Voice of the Blessed, I believe. Because, as I was going to say, it gets flying and pretty quickly at that. Skyclave Apparition comes down, gets our Teleportation Circle. Does indeed. Inconvenient, folks. Inconvenient. Yeah, I was going to say, the Elite Spellbinder needs to start getting in. That is going to be key here. Hey. Gnarled Professor. Don't mind if we do. Come on down. It has Trample. We're going to do some learning. What do we learn about? Is it just mascot exhibition? Or is it some kind of exiling effect? Reduced to memory, probably. I think it's going to be mascot exhibition. And we are going to cast our Hollowhenge Wrangler now. A 6/6, currently the largest thing on the board. It is also immune to Skyclave Apparition, which is likely the bulk of our opponent's interaction. We do also seek up a land card, making our draws that much better. Again, not a huge deal. That's not a, you know, this is definitely not a deal breaker situation. But, oh, well, okay. See, they already used one Fateful Absence. I don't expect that they have a lot of those, but clearly they have some number. Hollowhenge Wrangler does die. Not a big deal. Still get to use its ability. Discarding the Overgrown Tomb. And sure enough, our opponent's like... clearly, they are intending to be some kind of aggro deck. Clearly clerics. And just not able to keep up with the amount of value we can pump out. they elect to say it is not worth it to continue, and they scoop them up. It is true, folks, if they don't have any graveyard hate, which they almost certainly don't, Hollowhenge Wrangler are going to be generating 5/5s. We have no dead draws left in our deck, right? Every single land is at least a 5/5. Things that aren't a 5/5 are going to be value-oriented stuff. They can tell every single card we've played is a end of the battlefield style trigger, and they are unlikely to be able to compete with that kind of value. So, indeed, they scoop them up. Don't blame them. But it was a good game. All right, folks. Elder Geek is our next opponent. Good luck, Elder Geek. And yeah, I think we're going to hang out of this for now. I wouldn't say this is like an amazing hand or anything, but we can start on Overgrown Farmland as our tapped land, progress slowly into the game. We have the ability to make every single land drop we feel the need to, but considering these are Glasspool Mimics, they're not required to be lands. So if we flood out, no big deal. We have plenty of action. If we do not flood out, then we have land drops. So no complaints here. We are going to Tenacious Pup into Plains. It's possible that was supposed to be one of our Glasspool Mimics, but I'm not ready to say, you know, I don't think it's time to... Yeah, well, we did get a land, which is, you know, one of the reasons we didn't want to do that, right? So we're going to Glasspool Mimic on our own Tenacious Pup here. It gives us the Tenacious Pup buff again, but importantly, it also lets us trade with their Ascendant Pack Leader as long as, you know, they don't grow it too much, which they could. Yep, okay. Good deal. Unsurprisingly, our opponent is stymied, but Sigardian Evangel. Going to tap that down. Sigardian Evangel. Going to tap that down as well. And we're going to get him for free. Discard our Sigardian Evangel. Elder Geek 73. Has an Inquisitor Captain. Going to put a 1/1 counter onto the Ascendant Pack Leader. Look at two things. And it's a Tovolar. Oh, crud. Opponent does not attack, though. Thank heavens. Alright, well, I believe the time for a 6/6 has arrived. Let's seek up a land card. Overgrown Farmland is the land card that it ends up being. Tovolar transforms. None of the other things are transforming creatures, so not a big deal. I mean, we're not thrilled about it, but that is the way day and night works. Blood Rage Alpha makes it to the battlefield. Senate Pack Leader grows to be a 5/4. And Blood Rage Alpha going to have fight happen. Likely going to be Tovolar or Senate Pack Leader onto the Sigardian Evangel. Yeah, exactly. Not surprising. It's basically free here. And it does mean they now have numbers advantage on the board at the very least. Interesting. What do we do here? Yeah, I think we're not going to Tenacious Pup yet. I think we're just going to hang on for the time being. Our creatures are currently larger than their creatures, right? And given that they're running Inquisitor Captain, we have to know that most of their creatures are mana value 3 or less. So most of the time, our 5/5 is going to be larger than their stuff. So I think we would rather... Interesting. Okay. That, though, does fix all of our mana color concerns, so we're going to play that one. I think we are still going to discard the Deserted Beach, though. Sure enough. And grab ourselves a Hollowhenge Beast, which we will cast. Yep. No attacks currently. We don't want them to be able to draw a million cards with Tovolar. Reckless Stormseeker. Okay, that's a really good card here. I think our blocks are still favorable enough. I would be surprised if they come in. But, yeah, I was going to say, just, yep. There are definitely exceptions. Okay, so how do we block here? Alright, I think we're just going to trade the Hollowhenge Beast. They do get to draw a card, which is not great. But, yep. Opponent. Do you have... Okay, just scooting a little extra damage. Okay, that's fine. I mean, you know, we're not excited about that, but it's also not the end of the world. We've gotten our value. I think it would be rude for us to not... Or for us to deny their value, right? So... Let's see. Yeah, let's go Tenacious Pup into Quandrix Cultivator. Quandrix Cultivator gets us the basic island. And we're going to pass for now. Tovolar does transform the werewolves. Yep. Progresses directly to combat. +2/+0 and trample onto Tenacious Pup. No attacks, unsurprisingly. Well, Yasharn, folks, that is a really good magic card for us here. Get a plains and a forest. Are we going to play them? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Those are going to be Hollowhenge Beasts here. I think we actually are trying to save this for drawing into a Skyclave Apparition. That could be greedy, but we know there are 4 of them left in the deck. We're already down to 41 cards. We're already a third of the way through the deck. The likelihood of drawing them is getting better all the time. I think we're going to wait for now. Again, this is a tense situation here. Both sides have plenty of board presence. Oh, Ranger class is a really, really good card for our opponent. They have 1,000,000 mana. They make another wolf. This can gain haste too, right? So lots of attacks could happen. But more importantly, they can level up Ranger class all the way, and now they get to play creatures off the top of their deck. That is a lot of value starting next turn. So we do need to be able to get rid of that thing. Yeah, sure enough. Our turn. All right, well, Professor of Symbology is absolutely the kind of card we needed. We're going to Containment Breach. For sure, because that card would get them so much value. For now, we're actually not scared at all. Folks, we really need one of our Teleportation Circles as well. There are 4 of those in the deck. Yeah, sure enough. Okay, Elder Geek realizes their creatures will never be bigger than ours. And this is only going to go on until we break the board stall. I think that's accurate. Given what we know about their deck. Inquisitor Captain does not work unless 20 or more cards are mana value 3 or less. Those mana value 3 or less are not going to be as big as our 5/5s. They know we have at least 2 more 5/5s in hand. I assume what's happening, they were sandbagging a land. They probably just drew another one, right? So, you know, they were never going to be able to keep up with our draws, given that every single draw is now action. And they didn't know about teleportation circles, but I guarantee you they knew that we had Skyclave Apparitions. So they knew it was just a matter of time. As soon as we start getting rid of their powerful creatures here, we can start attacking them with 5/5s. Even if we don't, the second they start flooding out at any given time, we can't flood out, actually. You know, not only have we thinned our deck to make that less likely in general, but all of our lands are 5/5s. And so they're just not going to be able to keep up with that kind of value. So I agree. Our opponent scooped up, but I don't think that was early at all. I think that was completely justified. GG, Other Geek, GG. Hey, folks, here we are up against Ellipsis. Good luck, Ellipsis. And yeah, we're going to hang on. This hand looks fine. The question is, do we Glasspool Mimic as a land? Or do we Glasspool Mimic the Professor of Symbology? think we're going to start on Overgrown Farmland either way. We'll probably make that determination next turn. If we don't draw any lands, I mean, the decision is easy, right? But... okay, now we did draw land, which makes the decision harder. Let's Professor of Symbology. I think we're going to go ahead and grab Environmental Sciences. We may live to regret this, but now we know we don't have to use it that way, and we can Glasspool Mimic. Teleportation Circle on Glasspool Mimic is really, really nice. It allows us to change whatever into whatever, you know? So, 3 seasons for our opponent. Mills over, Portable Hole, Faithless Mending. Interesting. Alright, well, Environmental Sciences going to find us an island. But we are going to Tenacious Pup and not attack. We got the island because we have Yasharns in the deck. Yasharns can only get forests and plains. It's true, we also have some Quandrix Cultivators, but they can get basic forest or basic islands, so... not a big deal either way. Jack-o'-lantern gets to exile a Portable Hole. So, Stonebinder's familiar. A 2/2. Willowgeist, a 3/3 trample. Willowgeist, a 4/4 trample. Replicating Ring comes down. Opponent gets in with a 4/4 trample. We take it down to 19. And... okay, well. Teleportation Circle. Come on down. No attacks. And I think we're just going to go ahead and Teleportation Circle, exile the Tenacious Pup, because we want the Hollowhenge Wrangler that we cast next turn to be as big as possible. Alright, opponent, Replicating Ring. Faithful Mending, growing the Willowgeist. Does a little drawing, going to do a little discarding as well, I am certain. Does so, a couple of lands go away. Stonebinder's familiar. Becomes a 3/3. Alright. 3 seasons. Going to shuffle back in some stuff. Willowgeist, a 6/6 trample now. And Willowgeist comes down a second time. 6/6 trample comes in. 3/3 also comes in. Does not come in. No blocks. We take it down to 14. That part doesn't look too good for us, folks, but that's okay. Land, Hollowhenge Wrangler coming on down. Going to get some 1/1 counters. It is now an 8/8. Going to seek up a land card. And pass the turn. Teleportation Circle. Going to exile the Professor of Symbology. And we're going to find ourselves a... I think it's just going to be a reduced to memory. It's possible we need to get something to destroy the Replicating Ring, but that's kind of a long way off. So for now, I think we're going to get the Willowgeist. It's true, if things get too far out of hand, the reduced to memory could target the Replicating Ring. But of course, for now, it's obviously looking at pointing at the Willowgeist. Jack-o'-lantern. Sure. Jack-o'-lantern exiles a plains. Stonebinder's familiar. Both Willowgeists grow. Jack-o'-lantern exiles itself. Add some mana just to grow the Willowgeist to trading range. Rimewood Falls comes down. We head to attackers. No attacks. No, they're going to try and trick us into blocking. No, no attacks. Okay, well. Yeah, I thought, you know, we would absolutely have taken the bait there. No question about that. But we also wouldn't have been too worked up about it either. So reduced memory, going to give them a 3/2. Yeah. This is not only upside, but it is a pretty significant advantage there, I think. So let's go with Glasspool Mimic. Just get it out of the board, I think. It's going to come down on Hollowhenge Wrangler. Going to seek up a land. Sure. Okay. Deserted Beach is the card of choice. We are going to get in with our Hollowhenge Wrangler. We don't quite even up the game, but pretty darn close. And knock them down to 16. We're going to exile and return our metallic, or I'm sorry, not metallic mimic. That's a different card entirely. Glasspool Mimic, and tutor up a world tree. Opponent puts counters on the replicating ring. Homestead Courage grants vigilance and a counter to Willowgeist. Homestead Courage grants vigilance and a 1/1 counter to Willowgeist. Stonebinder's Familiar grows as well, up to a 5/5. The Celestus comes down. It's daytime now. And combat, our opponent passes through combat. It is now our turn. Sure. Alright, so Hinterland Chef, and sure enough, Ellipsis is like, actually, we can't compete with your value. And you know what? I think they're right. We have got them, folks. And the amount of value we're going to get from Hinterland Chef was going to be through the roof. We can't ever miss land drops and stuff. You know, all of our lands are 5/5s. Our opponent was in a spot of trouble, for sure. So, GG Ellipsis, GG. All right, folks, we are back. And yeah, the deck did fine. It did good even. We did have several good wins, a couple of losses, which was fine. But the deck did exactly what we wanted it to do. As far as things we might change, it's a great question. First of all, if you were going to do it just the way that it is, I think you might consider doing some more like Mascot Exhibition. We do end up having a lot of extra mana, and I like in general the way the deck played pretty well. The fact that we're, you know, thinning our deck so much and getting lots of learning value and stuff, which seemed to be very, very consistent. We basically always ended up with a Hollowhenge Wrangler. Just so the fact that it also works in the graveyard means that it's a pretty safe bet to work with, but having something to go and do might be okay. So similarly, you might look for 1 or 2, like 6 or maybe even 7 drops to do in this deck, because we do have access to a lot of lands. It's also true that we are on 24 conventional lands and 4 Glasspool Mimics, so we are on actually 28 lands, which is a lot. Though, admittedly, this is primarily here because of the Teleportation Circle. Bringing Glasspool Mimic back and forth is just exactly what this deck wants to be doing. So this is very rarely a land. It is nice, though, that we almost never get stuck on lands, right? So I could see, though, you know, some way of taking advantage of the extra lands. I think you would want it to have a really good end of the battlefield trigger or something like that. So definitely let me know in the comments below the sorts of things you might do there. But honestly, the deck did really well, so I wouldn't even have a problem playing it as is. The other thing you might consider is, particularly if you're fooling around in earnest here, the World Tree currently has no god targets, right? So maybe having at least one god to go and search up, and we do have 250 million lands, might be worthwhile. But other than that, you know, I think the deck did great. So, that said, you folks have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.